This is the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
We are the post-Roe generation, and we will abolish abortion. We are the post-Roe
And welcome back. I'm John Morales, along with Glenn and Sarah. Thanks so much for joining us as we continue with our special March for Life edition of Morning Air here on Relevant Radio and the Relevant Radio app. Now, the theme for this year's 52nd annual March for Life in Washington, D.C. is Life, Why We March. Tomorrow, a day after the National March for Life, Students for Life of America, alongside Students for Life Action, Alliance Defending Freedom, Pro-Life Ministries, and Then There Were None, and many other pro-life organizations will be presenting the annual National Pro-Life Summit, which is a one-day training event for grassroots pro-life activists of all ages. Joining us live from the March for Life in Washington, D.C. is longtime Morning Air contributor Kristan Hawkins, the president of Students for Life of America and Students for Life Action. Kristen is a Catholic, a wife, a mother, a grassroots activist, author, speaker, a human rights advocate who's coordinated a national team that serves 1,500 Students for Life chapters in all 50 states, and they've trained well over 213,000 young people. Kristen, thanks so much for joining us from D.C. For another March for Life. It is so good to be with you this morning.
Amen. I'm zipping up my boots right now if I sound winded.
I love it. I love it.
It's going to be a cold day out there today, John.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you know what it's like. I've been in blizzards during past March for Life, so hopefully it won't be too bad for the young people that are there today.
I've already heard them shouting on the streets. I was getting ready doing a TV interview, and I looked down and saw young kids at 7 a.m. on the street corner waving pro-life gen signs at all the traffic and getting home.
I love it. I'm sure plenty of those post-Roe generation chants and signs all over D.C. What's it like for you? And I know, it's always special, to go back to our nation's capital. This is only the third March for Life since Roe was overturned in 2022, right. But I'm sure it always evokes special memories for you.
It absolutely does. And I'm actually going to be speaking about that tomorrow with the young people gathered at our sold-out national summit. Because, I always remember when I come back to D.C., that day in front of the Supreme Court, being the one to have that extreme honor and privilege to be the first in the world to announce Roe had been thrown into the ash heap of history. But, in terms of what we have to face now, that was so relatively easy compared to what we face now in the pro-life movement. We've faced 4 years of a weaponized government against pro-lifers, a reckless FDA that's led to this proliferation of the chemical abortion pill crisis, First Amendment suppression on our college campuses, pro-life prayer warriors, grandmothers, young mothers arrested, thrown in federal jail, which yesterday, to the glory of God, President Trump upheld his campaign promise and pardoned all of them.
How big was that? What was going through your mind when you heard that President Trump had actually pardoned 23 pro-lifers, including, little old ladies who would pray outside of abortion clinics?
One of whom was a Holocaust survivor. Absolutely. I was on Capitol Hill actually meeting with Speaker Mike Johnson and texting some folks in the White House. I was a little pushy, John, if you might be surprised by that, asking, when is this happening? When is this happening? And I've been
good for you,
since November
Kristen.
7th.
Way to go. There's a time and a place, but you got to be persuasive, I think is the term.
Absolutely. We have been working with the Trump campaign and the now administration. Literally the day after the election, I had sent a list of folks to be pardoned over to a very close confidant of the president who has his ear and talks to him multiple times a day. And so we are so excited to see the president move on that. We're waiting to see the president issue an executive order on the expanded Mexico City policy, the Global Protect Life rule, which will stop our taxpayer dollars from flowing to overseas abortion promoters. We hope to see that very soon. I was up on Capitol Hill yesterday. I personally delivered 50,000 signed petitions that our supporters have signed over the last year and a half, and students have signed, demanding that Congress finally debar and defund Planned Parenthood, showing, the man's second in line for the presidency, how we have to stop funding our political enemies. This is an organization that kills 392,000 babies a year with $700 million of our taxpayer dollars. and is the leading force in Democratic politics advancing. I mean, it's the reason you saw this week, John, every single Democrat in the U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives voted against the Born Alive Infant Protection Act, saying that if babies are born, this is stuff, John, that I tell students on campuses. They don't even believe me it's true. I'm going to have to print out the roll call, though. It sounds so egregious that even pro-choice people do not believe this is actually happening in Washington, D.C. This is a law that says if a baby is accidentally, no, we know it's not an accident by God's design, but accidentally born alive inside an abortion facility, he or she should get oxygen. 911 should be called so that baby doesn't die. Every single Democrat voted against that bill up here in Washington, D.C. And it was all because Planned Parenthood and their lobbying arm has all of them afraid. I guarantee you there probably really was some Democrats that are like, wow, this is a step too far. Maybe I'm pro-choice. This is crazy. But they are all beholden to the abortion lobby. And that's what we're facing right now.
With all that is going on, what is your sense of the significance of this year's March for Life, with President Trump scheduled to speak via video, Vice President J.D. Vance in person speaking at the rally, along with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and just an all-star lineup of speakers?
Absolutely. You know, I think that we started to see some action, progress towards making America pro-life again. I think you're going to see today a lot of signs. I know certainly Students for Life supporters have paid for 10,000 of these signs to go tell Planned Parenthood to fund themselves. So we've got a bunch of defund Planned Parenthood signs. I know other friends of mine in the pro-life movement are going to be echoing that rallying cry. I think you're going to see a lot of pro-life unity around this, that this finally needs to happen. This would save lives, save taxpayer dollars, actually redirect taxpayer dollars to families in need who need help, right? Actually choosing life. And so I think you're going to see a lot of unity around that point. I think you're going to see a lot of very excited young people who are passionate, who are engaged in politics now, who are paying very close attention to what President Trump does. And they want to see action. They want to see America made a pro-life nation again. And it's unbelievable. I was kind of worried, John, honestly, going into this March for Life. What was attendance going to be like? I mean, it's unbelievable, some of the energy we have here today. I still think, March for Life numbers in whole are still down from where they were before Dobbs. We also have to have the largest, most well-trained, most activated army. That is a key ingredient to any human rights victory we've seen in our country: social movement, mobilization. And the March for Life, the National Pro-Life Summit this weekend is a transformational experience in young people. 85% of my staff who work for me at Students Life, who've dedicated their life to saving lives, helping mothers and families, made that decision here this weekend, knowing that this is where they belong. This is not the time to let up in the movement. This is, seeing Roe reversed was the beginning of the end of abortion, not the end.
Well, I can tell you firsthand that the University of Mary has about 6 buses. They arrived safely last night. They came all the way from Bismarck, North Dakota. So that's a good sign.
We serve a God who spoke the universe into existence. Surely through him we can abolish abortion, and we must challenge ourselves every day to be the Davids he's made us to be.
I love your slogan, Make America Pro-Life Again. As always, stay warm, and thanks so much for joining us from the March for Life in Washington, D.C., Kristen. So much appreciated.
God bless.
Longtime Morning Air contributor Kristan Hawkins, the president of Students for Life of America. This entire episode of Morning Air is on the Relevant Radio app. The Relevant Radio app is completely free and updated daily with fresh articles, podcasts, and prayers. Don't delay. Download the app today, and thanks for listening.